Here's how to feel your feelings without letting them wreck your whole day. And with that, welcome to Stoicism but Make It Cute, where I, Louise, a psychologist and overthinking girly in recovery, break down ancient Stoic wisdom and translate it into something that we can actually use in real life. If you've been following along with this series, you know that we're all about making this ancient philosophy accessible and practical. And if this is your first time here, make sure to hit that subscribe button because we're trying to build a community of people who want to become more mentally strong without losing their soft side completely. Today's topic is a big one and it might just change how you handle your worst days, and we're of course talking about emotional regulation. The core idea behind the Stoic understanding of emotional regulation is pretty simple, and it's that we don't want to let our emotions override our judgment of a situation. Now here's the thing, and it's really important. We definitely do want to feel our emotions, but we don't necessarily want to feed our emotions. There's a crucial difference here. You are 100% allowed to be upset over something that is upsetting to you, but you are not obligated or forced to act on those emotions immediately and let them hijack your whole day, okay? I think we all know this struggle, right? We logically know we shouldn't lash out at our partner when we're stressed about work. We know we shouldn't send that passive-aggressive text when we're hurt. We know we shouldn't make major life decisions when we're in an emotional spiral. But when certain emotions overcome us, it just feels impossible not to act this way. It's almost like our rational brain just disappears. So how do we solve this very human dilemma? The key is learning how to go from reacting to responding. And yes, there's a massive difference between the two. Let me explain. Reacting to an emotion means letting it drive your behavior immediately without a pause or consideration. It's yelling when you're angry, ghosting someone when you're hurt, stress eating when you're anxious, or making impulsive purchases when you're feeling low. We've all been there. It's this moment when you stop and look back and you're like, why did I do that? Now, responding, on the other hand, is a more deliberate and considerate process. It's about noticing, naming, and allowing your emotion without immediately acting on it. This might look like saying, I am feeling anxious right now, and then sitting with that emotion instead of numbing it or trying to fix it immediately. Now, I want to share something that completely shifted my perspective on this, and it's that there's always, and I mean always, a space between what is happening and how you respond. Even if it feels like there isn't, even if you feel like you go from 0 to 100 in a split second, that space exists. Emotional regulation is about noticing that space, catching that pause, and then learning how to make it bigger and fill it with intention rather than impulse. Here's another thing I need you to understand, and it's that our emotions are not our enemy. I know they feel like that sometimes, but they're actually messengers. Our emotions are always trying to tell us something, whether it's about our needs, our boundaries, about the circumstances we're in, or our values, okay? They're trying to tell us something. So for example, anger might be that a boundary has been crossed. Sadness might be signaling that you've lost something meaningful. Anxiety might be highlighting something that needs your attention or preparation. So even emotions that feel negative carry valuable information if we're willing to listen. The beautiful truth here is that you can feel deeply and you can act wisely. It's not an either or situation, it's an and situation. You just have to learn how to integrate and honor both, and I'm of course going to show you how to do just that. Now you might be thinking, okay Louise, this all sounds great in theory, but what do I actually do when I find myself in an emotional hurricane? Now don't worry, I come prepared. I have some practical tools for you that you can start using today. The first tool might just be the most powerful tool you have because it's always accessible to you. And I'm of course talking about your breath. Now I know that some of you might be rolling their eyes right now thinking, I'm so tired of hearing about breathing exercises. They sound so boring and I don't actually really know how to do them and if they're even effective. I used to be that person too until I understood the science between what makes our breath such a powerful tool. Now, when you're emotionally overwhelmed, here's what happens in your brain. The prefrontal cortex, that's the part of our brain that is responsible for planning, decision-making, and critical thinking, essentially goes offline. It just shuts down. Meanwhile, your emotional brain, the limbic system, fires up and takes over completely. Now, breathing techniques and grounding exercises help bring your attention back from your spiraling mind mind into your body. This relaxes your nervous system and helps you regain access to that rational planning part of your brain. It's a bit like rebooting your internal computer. One very simple breathing technique you can try is called box breathing, where you inhale to the count of 4, hold your breath to the count of 4, exhale to the count of 4, and hold for the count of 4. And then you repeat over and over again. And it might help you imagine a little box in your mind's eye as you go through it. And as for grounding techniques, there's another very simple one that I just love because you can also always do it. It's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique. And you basically just name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, as in touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. You can either do that out loud or just silently with yourself. Again, this helps you shift your attention from your busy, spiraling mind to the present moment and what's actually around you right now. Another incredibly effective tool is asking yourself strategic questions. Remember, emotions are messengers, so we want to get curious about what it is that they're trying to tell us. So you can try questions like, what is this feeling trying to tell me? What would my calmest self do right now? How do I want to remember handling this situation? Or what do I need most in this moment? These questions help you shift from reactive to reflective mode. The last tool I want to share with you today might also sound super obvious to you, but I want you to actually sit and think about this, okay? It's doing something that feels nourishing to you. So what I want you to do right after watching this video is I want you to take a piece of paper and write down activities that you know have a positive impact on your emotional state. And I actually want you to create different categories. Some things that only take 2 to 3 minutes, like deep breathing or listening to your favorite song. Then things that take like 10 to 30 minutes, like going for a walk or calling a friend. And bigger activities for when you have more time, like cooking, journaling, taking a bath. This little piece of paper becomes your emergency self-care kit. And I want you to put it in your purse or your phone case so that you can always access it when you need it. Because again, when we're overwhelmed, we might not have the brain capacity to think of all these activities. So having these activities written down is such a great help for when you're in these overwhelming situations. Let's see these techniques in action with some real life scenarios. Let's say someone says something rude to you. Instead of immediately snapping back, or carrying that negativity with you for the rest of the day, the Stoic approach would be to feel the heat rising in your body, acknowledging the feeling, saying to yourself like, I feel disrespected right now, and then to physically drop your shoulders, take a breath, and choose whether to respond now, later, or not at all. Let's say you see your ex with someone new. Instead of leaning into that anxiety, by texting them, spiraling into your thoughts, or stalking them on social media, the Stoic response would be to acknowledge the emotion. I'm feeling hurt and maybe a little jealous, and that's okay. Breathe through it, and then intentionally shift your attention to something grounding, like a playlist or going on a walk, or maybe calling a supportive friend to talk it out. What if your boss gives you feedback that feels like an attack? Instead of shutting down completely or getting defensive, again, you could practice naming the emotion internally. I feel criticized and defensive right now, and then respond with curiosity by asking clarifying questions or taking notes to reflect on later when you're in a calmer headspace. Now, I want to acknowledge something important. These examples might seem relatively small compared to what you're dealing with right now. Maybe you're going through a breakup, dealing with loss or job insecurity, or handling family drama. I'm not trying to minimize those heavier emotions or suggest that breathing exercises alone will fix this. I'm just trying to give you tools that are scalable, meaning they can help both in small daily frustrations and larger life challenges. But when things get really heavy, emotional regulation might look more like reaching out to trusted friends, seeking professional support, taking off time if possible, or giving yourself full permission to grieve or feel whatever needs to be felt. The goal isn't to suppress difficult emotions. It's to create enough space so that these emotions don't make all of your decisions. So here's today's key takeaway. You can feel something deeply and still choose your response. These two things can coexist beautifully. Your emotions don't have to be the enemy, and you don't have to be their victim. If you found this helpful and want to go deeper, I created a super in-depth digital workbook that has tons of educational pages and practical tools, and it's called the Stoic Girl Starter Pack. It's rooted in Stoicism, cognitive behavioral therapy, and practical psychology. In there, you can find a whole chapter on emotional regulation with multiple different exercises and worksheets on the topic. We also have topics like relationships, learning to let go, daily peace practices, everything that you need to regulate your thoughts and moods and become your best and most resilient self. The link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and if this resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more practical philosophy and psychology content. I'll see you soon for the next episode, but until then, remember, feel your feelings, but choose your actions. Bye!